Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the best Saint-Saëns Symphony cycle. Now, this is a repertoire survey that has only become possible in the past few years because there just weren't enough Saint-Saëns Symphony cycles to talk about. Now, there are at least 6. Not all of them are available, but my God, there are 6. It's amazing. Saint-Saëns wrote, all told, 5 symphonies. And the Organ Symphony, the third, technically, is so incredibly much more popular than any of the others that they were all completely sidelined. I mean, no one cared about them. And mostly people still don't, which is a shame because they're beautiful works. They really are. I mean, he wrote his first, granted, he was only 15. But he was an amazing prodigy. And for a 15-year-old, it's awfully good. I realize it's, I think, the A major symphony. One of them has a title, Herb's Roma. Nobody knows why. And the rest of them, they're sort of out of order and they weren't given much play or attention in Saint-Saëns' own lifetime. So no one cared about them since. But they are 5 genuinely beautiful, well-crafted, worth listening to type symphonies. And it's an imposing cycle. Now, they tend to fit all together on 2 discs, which is like really convenient. None of them are terribly long. The biggest is actually not the Organ Symphony, it's the Herb's Roma, which is about 40 minutes long. The Organ Symphony is only about 30 and a bit. So, they're rather shapely. Formally, yes, a touch conservative, but they have original touches. And the more you listen to them, the more you'll hear. For example, the First Symphony, which has an absolutely crazy finale. It's got 4 bass clarinets and 4 harps and 2 sax horns. It's this triumphant march thing. Or his incredibly imaginative use of counterpoint in the Second Symphony and some of the others. I mean, he really knew what he was doing. And in his own sort of, just shall we say, respectful way and neat and tidy way, because he was the most methodical human being that ever lived when it came to music, he really had his own brand of musical expression, and it's really worth discovering. And so these symphonies are tremendously fun and worth hearing. Now, the one cycle we can't really talk about because it's only sort of, I just looked and I only saw a piece of it, was Louis de Froment with the Orchestra of Radio Luxembourg. It was on Vox, and it's the least interesting of all the ones we're going to talk about. I mean, it was the one that you got because you couldn't find any of the others, or the other one, and the other one we'll get to in a moment. But that was all there was. And it was a workaday, cycle, not terribly interesting sound with a not terribly great orchestra. And no wonder there wasn't much more interest in these works, because if all you have, available is a average, mediocre, cycle or set of performances, it doesn't do them justice. We're still waiting, to be honest, to have a Saint-Saëns Symphony cycle done by a major orchestra, like the Berlin Phil or the New York Phil or, Chicago or the Concertgebouw or, something like that. That would be marvelous to have one of the really, really great orchestras just blow these things, blow the roof off the building with these symphonies, which you could do actually. But it's not likely to happen. Of course, it happens with the Organ Symphony, every 15 minutes, but not with the rest of them. So let's talk about what we have in my own personal sort of order of preference. But I have to say, I say straight up front, the 5 remaining cycles we're dealing with are all quite good. They really are. Today, especially when orchestras are terrific, even the second tier orchestras, and they're just good, and sonics are generally good. You're not going to have a terribly disappointing series of performances. And the works themselves, Saint-Saëns, like I said, was extremely methodical. They're incredibly well crafted. They don't ask for a great deal of special pleading interpretively. They tend to work. They're so well put together. I'm not saying that they play themselves. I mean, the Organ Symphony, as you probably know, has many subpar performances. It's a very tricky work to do. But the others don't pose as many problems, and if you keep it going and they're lively and they're going to sound beautiful. And so they do. So let's start. Okay, the first cycle, recent one, I mean, gosh, these are all recent. It's sort of fascinating, was this one with Terry Fisher and the Utah Symphony on Hyperion. Now, most Saint-Saëns Symphony cycles, as I said, they fit on 2 discs, but that's not how they were all presented, because especially the less familiar works, if they need a little special pleading marketing-wise, you put something popular on with them. And that's what happened here. The Third Symphony, for example, has the Bacchanal from Samson and Delilah, a performance which, as I pointed out in my review on ClassicsToday.com, needed to be a little bit sluttier. It's not a very slutty performance. And I want a Bacchanal that's like steamy and X-rated, and this one isn't, but it's okay. And you get the Trois Tableaux Symphoniques d'après la foi. Now that's interesting. That's incidental music in Saint-Saëns' exotic mode. And it's a very pretty performance of it too. It's very nice. So that's a good disc. And then this one is Symphonies numbers 1 with the crazy finale with all that extra stuff in it, and the Symphony in A major, the really early one, and the Carnival of the Animals. And then there's a third disc. I don't have it here because I don't have 3 arms and 3 hands, but I can't find it. It's somewhere in this unorganized mess after I unpacked. But these I have. So they're very good performances. They really are. However, recently, let's see, what else have we got here? BIS came out with the complete, so that was Hyperion. BIS came out with the complete Saint-Saëns Symphonies on 2 discs available separately. One of them has the Herbs Roma and the Third Symphony. And then we've got the other 3, the early A major, number 1 and number 2. These are good works. I tell you, 1 and 2 are really good. They deserve to be played. And number 2 is only about 20 minutes long. Maybe I'll do a fabulous concert program thing on the Saint-Saëns Symphonies. I mean, they deserve it. But we'll think about that later. Anyway, these are with Jean-Jacques Cantarot, or Cantarov, or however you want to pronounce his name, with the Orchestre Philharmonique Royal de Liège. So the Liège Philharmonic, which plays very, very well. Now, the success of any one of these cycles is really going to depend on how well the organ symphony goes, ultimately, right? Because you have to cap it with a really good organ symphony. And that's where this one, I think, is a little bit weak. Not because the performance isn't good, but the balances between the orchestra and the organ and the sound of the organ is a little bit odd. I mean, maybe it's authentic. It's like, authentic Belgian people. It's the hometown team. I don't know. But I wasn't entirely convinced with the organ symphony. But on the other hand, the others are beautiful. And it's BIS. The sonics are really, really good. Let's see. And we have, multi-channel. It's a multi-channel thing if you want multi-channel surround things coming from all over the place. So that's the BIS cycle. There you go. Next, we have this one on Naxos. This actually came out before the Hyperion and the BIS cycles, and it's very, very good. It's with Mark Sustro and the Malmö Symphony Orchestra in very, very good sound, actually, for the most part. And you also get, you get a really good Phaeton with Symphonies 1 and 2, and a very good Le Rouet d'Omphale. I mean, these symphonic poems are wonderful. And you get the Danse Macabre and La Jeunesse d'Hercule. So this is a wonderful 3-disc set because you get all the symphonies and very good performances and a very good organ symphony. I mean, it's not a letdown by any means. And an absolutely terrific account of the 4 major tone poems. So that's really valuable. I mean, I would get this anyway, just because I like the concept. It was very smart programming, and very enjoyable performances. So, that's definitely worth considering. Absolutely worth considering. And then, well, now we come to what was the de rigueur Saint-Saëns Symphony Cycle, and that was Jean Martinon. And currently, it's in this large box of the Saint-Saëns edition. It was also in the Martinon Erato box, I think, because that was all his EMI stuff. I mean, there were different various ways to get it, but it's actually in here. It's the first 2 CDs. Here they are. Yes, actually, These lovely covers, aren't they attractive? With the Orchestre Nationale de l'ORTF, the Orchestra Radio Diffusion Télévision Français, whatever the hell it is. These are classics. It's Martinol. I mean, they're fabulous. The organ symphony is sensational. The sound is a little dated. The orchestra is not exactly as great as we are used to orchestras nowadays. You know, they can be a little scruffy, but the performances were just superb. And so these were the ones to get for like 100,000 million billion years. And they're wonderful. They really are. And so they remain. It's kind of funny because we've had all these, subsequent, or these, not all these, but these 3 or so subsequent cycles. And these still have held up extremely well. They really have. And I'm going to slam them back in here. However, there is a newcomer that I think is at least as good as Martinol, if not better, on 3 discs, pardon me. It's on 3 discs, but it's okay, it's cheap. This one, which I reviewed recently, actually, extremely fine performances with the Orchestre Nationale de France, which is an excellent group under Christian Macellaro. And Macellaro, Romanian conductor, very, very good. And you can look at the video of these. It's really a fine cycle. It's on Warner. And I was thrilled to see this because it was announced, as usual with Warner, with no fanfare because it's serious classical music. And they do nothing to promote it. And it's just sort of here, hanging out there for God knows how long. And I have no idea what they're ever going to do with it. I do hope that it stays in print, and I hope that most people get a chance to hear it. When I did the original video about this cycle, a bunch of you had heard it, and you agreed with me that it was really first rate. And it is, and it's a fabulous organ symphony, and the sound is really good, and the orchestra plays really well, and Macellaro really, really knows how to get the music's juices flowing. They're just marvelous performances. So this is the logical successor to Martinol. And if you have the Martinol set, then you can get this and feel very comfortable that you're getting something that's equally fine. But I would get this, and I would certainly get the Naxos because I just love the coupling. I love the concept. That's really nice. And what the heck? You might want to get the other ones too. And you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Saint-Saëns Symphony cycles. It's a great time to be alive, isn't it? Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.